Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the Arkansas Gun Guy, where today I want to share two guns that are very similar. I have the Sig P220 Carry. I want to compare that to the Sig P225 because I think they're kind of related. Once I picked up this P220 and started manipulating it, I realized it was very similar to my P225. And once I started researching how they were related, there's not a ton of detail out there about how this gun ties back to this gun or vice versa. So I've cobbled together what I can learn from various internet resources and the books I have, and I think it's kind of interesting. Technically what you have here, this is around 2007, 2008 P220 Carry, and this is a 1980 Sig P225. Technically, it's a P6, a West German police gun, and I'll talk about those differences in a second, but essentially it's a 225. So I say all that to back up and say that this whole thing started with the Sig P220 full size. This has a 3.9-inch barrel, the Carry model does, just like the 225. The full-size P220 came with a 5-inch longer barrel, I think 4.4 inches. So this was a very important gun for Sig, the full-size P220, because it came in multiple calibers, 45 ACP, 9mm, I think even 38 Super, several calibers, and also it came in multiple trigger configurations. The standard double action, single action, which came with Sig's signature decocker, which you see on today's 229 and 226s. It also came in single action only, which is what this version is. Notice no decocker, but it does have an ambi safety. And it also came with a double action only, which had no decocker and no safety. So multiple options for the Sig could be sold to different militaries around the world who had different requests or different tweaks they wanted to make. So massive gun, great success. Around the mid-70s is when the Sig P220 launched. Fast forward a couple of years, and there was a need for a smaller gun. So the P220 evolved into the P225. This is just a smaller version of the P225 with a couple of notable differences. The 225 only came in, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, only came in double action, single action with the decocker, and it was only chambered in 9mm. Everything I can find, that's what I see. Again, please correct me if you know something different, because if someone's researching, I would like to be accurate. But so the 225 came out, and it was submitted for the German police trials and German military trials, I guess, in the mid to late 70s, along with an entry from Walther and an entry from H&K. Now, turns out all three were chosen. The Walther was called the P5, the Sig was called the P6, and the H&K was called the legendary, ultra rare, ultra expensive P7. So definitely would like to find a P7 one day in my life. But essentially the P6, German police weapon, is the same as the Sig P225 with a couple differences. It has a heavier trigger pull. It has this bobbed hammer on the back. This is in case the police, if it fell out of their holster, they could tell it was dropped on the hammer and needed attention. And this one came with these blacked out sights, which I really am not a fan of. I learned to shoot them, but I think the standard 225 came with 3-dot sights like this 220. So the 225 lived from the late 70s to the late 90s. Best I can tell, this discontinued around 1998. And then there was a period of time where there wasn't a small single stack. Forgot to mention these are both single stacked. This is 9mm, this is 45. But there wasn't a time where there was a single stack compact or carry option from Sig. Then around 2006, 2007, it looks like they brought back the P220 Carry, which is roughly the same size barrel. There were 3.9-inch barrels. This grip appears slightly longer, only because I think it's 45 ACP, and it has this extended mag. But other than that, they're almost identical. If this were a double action, single action, it would have the same controls. So essentially, these guns are almost identical. So the P220 Carry lived from around the mid-2000s, we'll call it 2007, 2008, time this gun was made, till around the mid 2015, 16s, and then it was discontinued, as best I can tell. However, at the same time, Sig brought back the Sig P225, but they noted it the P225A1. Now, there were differences with that gun, which I haven't researched because it wasn't a big seller, but I think they changed the grips, the trigger, and a few other things. And again, it just wasn't commercially successful because by that time, no one really wanted a metal-framed, single-stack weapon to carry around because you can get, by that time, a gun that was smaller, lighter, and with more capacity. So while both these guys are technically dinosaurs, I'll tell you, they feel really special in your hand, and it's definitely some I'm glad to have in my collection because they're both just fantastic guns, fantastic shooters that feel great and should last a lifetime and be passed down to my grandkids, I hope one day. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're ever curious about those two things, how they compare, now you know. And as always, please, if I got something wrong, be nice, but listen in the comments so that anyone doing research can be well informed. So again, thank you guys always for watching the Arkansas Gun Guy.